Hey everyone, Douglas here, and welcome to a quick update on kind of where I'm seeing the equity space right now and where I think things might be playing out into the immediate future here. If you guys know me at all, follow this channel at all, you know I have been essentially the PermaBull's bull, and I've been very bullish on this market for quite some time, building on that kind of MMT foundation, and yet I am seeing some cracks in the foundation, especially in the rally that we've been seeing over the last year. And so I wanted to point out just a few reasons why I think we might be at a bit of an inflection point in the market right now as we speak. Obviously, the markets have been a little bit weak recently. S&P had 4 days down in a row today to kick the week off. We did have a late rally in the session to end up for the day to break the down streak. But overall, we have been seeing some weakness, and again, from my entire kind of macro analysis, especially from the MMT perspective, I still think the core of where this market is at, where kind of the financial system is at, is still relatively bullish. But with that being said, on kind of the more intermediate and shorter term runs, this is kind of the most bearish I've seen this market look to my eye, really maybe all the way back until, or as far back until maybe February, maybe even last year in September and October. So like I said, I do think we are at a bit of an inflection point here, and I think the market might be in for a rough ride. If you're a Patreon member, you're kind of well aware of many of the things we've been tracking up until this point to kind of get us to this point. So if you're interested in all of that, by all means, check out the Patreon page, patreon.com/KennanMA. Otherwise, I'm just going to go over a few quick things and then just kind of go from there and let everyone know, I guess, that I'm starting to see some weakness here. And I wouldn't be surprised if heading into the end of September and through October, we see a bit of a more wild ride than we have been accustomed to for the past year here. So what is the first thing that I kind of have on my radar? Well, one, in particular, why I want to make sure and get this video out now is we do have the end of this month's options expiration cycle, and in particular, we have a certain situation where the VIX options and the standard S&P options are going to be expiring this week. VIX starting Wednesday, and the rest of the market options on Friday. And if you remember back from my video on Gamma and GEX, oftentimes the Gamma cycle will follow the options expiration cycle, and you can see a bit of a reset heading into this week. And so and we've certainly seen that in the S&P. Quite a few of the dips over the last year or so have coincided with that options expiration cycle, and we are at that point in time where we would expect volatility to have the opportunity to open up a little bit more than normal, where we're not getting the kind of volatility suppressing buying, that kind of reinforced buying that Gamma oftentimes brings, or the Gamma build oftentimes brings into the late cycle, and then when that resets at options expiration, you can see a bit of a pop in volatility. So we have that just happening right now, kind of coincidentally. And then on top of that, we also have some kind of headline news issues that could cause some problems in the market as a whole. Now, in and of itself, some of these are probably not anything to necessarily trade on, but the biggie is going to be getting the debt ceiling raised past October. And part of the problem right now, in particular, is both the Fed and the Treasury are kind of working overtime, if you will, to continue to facilitate proper channels, if you will, between the Fed, the Treasury, and then the financial sector as a whole. And if any of that plumbing gets gunked up, which could absolutely happen if the debt ceiling doesn't get raised, I think Janet Yellen is spot on that we could have some issues in the not too distant future. If that becomes an issue and it kind of becomes a systemic problem on Wall Street, I think we could see selling kick in. So you have, again, kind of this inflection point where you're going to have options expiration happen this week. You're going to start seeing some maybe nasty headlines as this week unfolds, and if volatility just spikes, there's nothing, that natural suppression of volatility, those gamma flows aren't going to be there, particularly this week. So that's why we have this kind of window this week where we got to be careful. So this week, heading into next week, is when, if selling kicks off or selling takes off and we see an uptick in volatility, that volatility can kind of take off. It can kind of build on itself like a small snowball, unraveling into an entire avalanche. And so that effect could certainly happen. Some other things too that I'll point out here, amongst kind of many different issues again that are kind of coming all together right at this point, is just technically speaking, we have not seen the sort of rally into options expiration that we have been seeing, and it has been very kind of telling of this entire run up over the last year. You can see that heading into each options expiration date, we've seen, kind of the bounce off the prior low, a little bit of volatility as it shakes out, rally, and then you get this grind higher into each options expiration. You kind of see the channels, and it's not the same every month, and it has a different look every month. There's no doubt about that. But for the most part, it's a grind into a new high. Options expiration week happens. That new high eventually fails, and then as options expiration week plays out and into the following week, you see a small pop in volatility, and then things calm down, buyers come back in, and things settle. What has been a market difference in this cycle is from the end of August through that first week of September, we were sideways, which is just quite different than again the looks that we've seen. And then in the last week, heading up into this week, we've obviously been quite down, and it's just a completely different look in terms of where we're at heading into this month's options expiration, just showing a lot more weakness. So it is a bit concerning that instead of kind of having some distance from the 200 period moving average here on the 4-hour chart, we're right on it. And then furthermore, you can see I've kind of marked off this support zone here right around 44, range right around 44.60 to 44.80 that we've been bouncing around on, which is what the prior high was and the backtest support was back in August and mid-August and then late August. And you can see that this whole pattern has played out again for about the last year, where we backtest prior support and then shoot off. Where we backtest prior resistance, find support, and then shoot off from there. And again, that pullback happens after options expiration, and then the rebuild, if you will, of the gamma flows to suppress the volatility. Well, we're at the breaking point, and if you will, the volatility event hasn't even happened yet. So that creates kind of just a slightly more precarious situation technically for where we're at as well. And there's just kind of a lot of reason to believe that we might not survive this kind of pattern without maybe a little bit more damage this time. So those are just a few things that I'm seeing that give me a little bit more pause right now than normal. Again, just to reiterate kind of how I started off with this update, I still am quite bullish long term. That is certainly my stance. But in the here and now, I could easily see things get a little out of control for the next couple weeks, maybe next month or two, as we roll into October. So I think above all else, I know I'm being a little bit more cautious right now than normal. And if we do get a sell-off, I see that as a great buying opportunity when we finally find some support and things look like they are kind of back to a rally. I think there's a lot of reasons to continue to be bullish on this market, even if we do end up having a bit of a volatility spike here and things get a little out of control for a couple weeks. So I think that's all I have for tonight, and just thought I'd jump in real quick and give you my thoughts. So I will wrap things up there. If you are new here and you haven't yet hit that subscribe button, make sure you do so before you click out of this video. And if you found this update particularly helpful, give it a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. The YouTube algorithm really appreciates it, and goes a long way. So with that being said, I will wrap it up there. Good trading, everyone, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.